Hello viewers, welcome back to the Delegate. As you can see, today I am in the hot seat. This is the very room where all our high-level Security Council debates take place. In today's episode, we will see our delegates draft a resolution. In the Model United Nations setting, the process of drafting a resolution can be cumbersome. Our delegates need to use some operatives and preambulatory clauses in their resolution. Let's see how they do this.
Been summoned here because there's a breaking news trickling in from Darfur.
Between the announcement of the crisis and the Council's next official meeting, a lot of consultations have taken place. Delegates are under pressure to adopt an immediate resolution to halt the crisis. After a crisis such as the one witnessed in the earlier episode, diplomats usually consult with their governments to consider the way forward. In line with this, our delegates, after their initial statements to the press, have also met themselves informally in what is known in Model UN as unmoderated caucuses. Delegates used their caucuses to try and gather whether there were any shifts in the position of other member states. Moreover, some delegates also take these informal opportunities to try and lobby for support on their own positions.
North Korea and South Korea, are they fighting? Aren't there tensions there? So what are you trying to say?
Yes, you can't protect without fighting. It's impossible.
Delegates work extremely hard behind the scenes to prepare for such meetings. Even though it's expected that delegates come into the decision-making meeting aware of how things will go, it is unusual to see change of plans at the last moment, and adoption of such resolutions can be accompanied by heated debates.
At the time that you're having the peace talks, at the time that they are killing the citizens there, if we use negotiations, the judge that we will see like we don't have power. If we are protecting the citizens and another part of the church are fighting, so how would they cause?
Okay, all right.
Welcome to the resolution drafting and adoption process on the crisis.
My name is Kwegyir-Aggrey. I'm 13 years of age. First Academy is the name of my school. I participated in Model UN because I like to be a future UN Secretary General.
Eric has been a good friend to me and a lot of people, and also being like a family member to us. And at times when you are down, he motivates you to do something. And also in class, when a question is asked, the way he answers it gives you the courage for you to also answer it. So I think he deserves to win it because he has the knowledge, understanding, and the ability, and I know he can do it.
His research work and what he does, I'm very, very optimistic that he's going to win.
And I would like to use this platform to thank my mom very much, and my school, and my teachers. Thank you.
I can see the colors of a rainbow, and I can feel the sun on my face.
I call the House to order. Honorable delegates, I welcome you back from the unmoderated caucus. I can see you have worked a lot during this caucus. And I'm also happy to know that you have come out with a resolution, a draft resolution that was almost born out of consensus. I hear it's sponsored by Japan and France. And I call on one of the sponsors, France, to present this draft resolution to the Council. France, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Security Council, recalling Resolution 165 and all other previous resolutions concerning Sudan, gravely concerned at the widespread human rights violations, including attacks on civilians that are placing their lives at risk. Deeply concerned by the problems neighboring countries are facing due to the constant inflow of refugees. Condemning all acts of violence by the Janjaweed, including attacks on civilians, rapes, and kidnapping of children to be child soldiers. Expressing concern at the consequences of the Darfur conflict on the civilian populations. Recalling that over 1 million people are in need of urgent humanitarian assistance and protection in Darfur. Bearing in mind that the situation in Sudan continues to constitute a threat to international peace and security. 1. Request that the mandate of the African Union be extended. 2. Congratulate the engagement and commitment of the African Union for addressing the situation in Darfur. 3. Demands that the security around villages and refugee camps be tightened to minimize the amount of deaths in Darfur. 4. Encourages member states who are part of the AU to contribute personnel to the AU peacekeeping force. And 5. Calls on the Secretary General to use his office in gathering information on the developments of the current situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Delegate from France, representing the sponsors of this draft. I'm sure we have some more work to do to finally get a policy document that can be adopted by the Council. This is the purpose for the debate that the Council will be engaging in right now. The floor is now open for debate on this draft resolution. Are there any delegates who want to make comments on this draft or would want to come on points of information with respect to the draft that we've already heard? Are there any points on the floor of the House? Lebanon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that peace talks should be added to the operative clauses, since it's a way of preventing the Janjaweed militia from committing further genocide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate from Lebanon. I would want to urge the sponsors or their representatives to write down all the amendment proposals. Later on, we would see the possibility of either adding them or rejecting them. Any more points on the floor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, at first, the position of the US was to negotiate with the Janjaweed, but now looking at the footage, it completely shows they are not supposed to be negotiated with. Troops should be sent to the Darfur region, and I believe that the troops should combat the Janjaweed and at the same time also see to their security and everything. Therefore, I believe we could talk about this and maybe add it as part of the final resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate from the United States. Sudan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the people of the Republic of Sudan clearly and strongly disagrees with the suggestion and opinion of the United States. Negotiations, as Sudan believes, is the best way. The sending in of more troops to Sudan will only worsen the case, Mr. President. We all want to resolve this conflict. The sending in of more troops, though would be faster, would result in the killing of more and more men and women. I addressed to the House earlier on that what if the entire House is underestimating the Janjaweed militia? What if the Janjaweed militia we are talking about are more deadly or even are as deadly as the Al-Qaeda that many countries have not been able to stop? Then we'll have a real game on our hands. And sending in more troops to engage them in battle would just mean you killing one side, the other side killing your people, and the civilians getting tangled in the middle and them dying. Negotiations is the best way.
Thank you very much, Sudan. I would want to remind the Council that as interested parties, even though non-members of this Council, Sudan and Ethiopia do not have voting rights on this issue, but their views are very much important for the way forward. Later on, I'm sure the Council will also be interested in knowing what Ethiopia's view is on whether or not negotiation or force is the way forward. But in the meantime, I would call on the delegate from Japan to also address the committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Japan believes that troops will trigger more violence. According to the footage that we saw that the Janjaweed are brutal and they might not have shown us their true colors. So if we bring in more troops, they will fight back their troops and they will rather want to hurt the people more, so that the troops will go back. So it will trigger more violence, and I believe that negotiation will work because soft words soften hard hearts. So they will soon yield to negotiation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Japan. United Kingdom.
Thank you, Mr. President. I disagree with the delegates from Japan and the delegates from Sudan. This is because I believe when troops are sent, they are not just sent for battling the Janjaweed, but they are also for protecting the civilians from the practices or the harms of the Janjaweed. And also the negotiations also try and make the Janjaweed feel big. We have gone too easy on them. Therefore, now is the time to take things on a serious note in order to warn them and make them stop, because I believe troops will end this war. Thank you.
Thank you very much, United Kingdom. Bosnia.
Thank you, Mr. President. To add to what the delegate from United Kingdom said, it has now become like we are being very lenient on the Janjaweed and doing what they want us to do. And I think that's not going to take us anywhere, since we are supposed to be against them rather than doing what they want us to do.
Thank you very much, Bosnia. Russia.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Janjaweed are misinformed Muslims. These Muslims believe that dying in the name of Allah will take you to heaven, and only taking people to fight them is just going to set them off, and this is going to increase the conflict there. Thank you.
Lebanon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that we should rather cooperate with the Janjaweed militia and find out the reason why they are attacking the people of Darfur and come out with a good agreement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As it stands now, we still have the draft resolution before us for consideration. We've had 2 concrete amendment proposals being submitted by honorable members of this council. Are there any more that His Excellencies would want to submit for the consideration of the sponsors? Sudan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to suggest the entire House gathered here that we should treat this matter not with what our hearts feel should be done, but we should rather treat it with what we should tackle it with a bit of sense, in a sense that we should understand the consequences of what we do before we do them. We must fully know the repercussions of certain actions before we do them, not just move that those actions be taken because we feel that they are the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sudan. China.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, China is now convinced in taking action using troops and suggests that their primary aim be defending the citizens and fighting the Janjaweed. To the delegates of Sudan and Japan, negotiating has failed for the past years. So then what else can be done, since you really oppose the sending of troops to Sudan? Thank you.
United States.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to add a little to what my fellow delegate from China said. The Janjaweed kill in the name of Allah. If they are negotiated with, because they have that feeling, they can never ever give up. So what's the need to still negotiate with them? So we have to put in force. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll take a last submission from Japan and then we'll move straight to deal with the amendment proposals before us. Japan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please, pride comes before a fall, as we all know it. So if the Janjaweed feel that they are controlling us, they will soon fall. Also, we have other Muslim countries that want peace to prevail in Sudan, like Lebanon and all that. So they can in their own Islamic way, they can try to talk to the Janjaweed that what they are doing, it won't take them to heaven, or it won't take them to heaven as they believe. And also, I believe that if we can try negotiation for a while, if it doesn't work, then we bring in force, even though I think force will bring more violence, because we want to end this war in a peaceful way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Japan. Now I will call on honorable members to focus on the amendment proposals before us. That we include the use of military force against the Janjaweed. Are there any delegates in support of this? and I want delegates to explain their support. Bosnia.
Thank you, Mr. President. If the use of military force is not applied, it will continue being like the Janjaweed is dictating everything for the council. Since we are supposed to go in against them and make them stop, we can't just look at them doing that and saying that we cannot bring troops there to fight them.
Alright, so the motion moved by Bosnia. Anyone to second this motion? Brazil.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm seconding this motion because we've been holding peace talks with the members of the Janjaweed for quite some time now, and it doesn't seem to be working. So it's now time for us to put more force. It's now time for us to bring in troops to the country to protect the people there, and the only way of protection is by fighting. And if fighting is what the Janjaweed wants, then the troops are going to give it to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brazil. Motion tabled by Bosnia, seconded by Brazil. Are there any objections to this motion? Lebanon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Adding force can worsen the situation, and very soon it could become a great war. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a vote on this motion that we amend the draft resolution to include the use of force, military force against the Janjaweed. Delegates in favor of this motion show by placards. Delegates against. Sudan and Ethiopia, you abstain from the vote. Thank you very much. Honorable delegates, with 12 for the motion and 3 against the motion, this motion passes, and therefore it's included. It's suggested that we include the use of force, military force against the Janjaweed. The second proposal is to further explore the use of negotiations. Are there any delegates willing to table a motion to this effect? In the absence of any, this proposal fails, and therefore the only proposal that has gone through is the proposal to add the use of force to our draft resolution. The delegate from Ethiopia has given me an indication she wants to make a statement before we take a vote on the amendment. Ethiopia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow debaters, Ethiopia believes that these negotiations are going to help better than sending troops, because when we send the troops, they are there to fight against the Janjaweed. But also the people must be also put into consideration, because their fighting also affects their lives, and they need to be supported and to be protected, not to be killed in their lives. And they also need to, the troops sent there must respond to their needs and must be in such a way that it doesn't harm them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is a word from a non-member state of the council. And as an interested party, it is good to hear what she has to say. Before us council members is our amended draft resolution. Are there any comments on this draft before we take a vote on them? United States of America.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, it stated that there are going to be negotiations, but the United States believes that this negotiation should take within a region of, let's say, 2 months, because you might never know. They might keep long and it might be dragging the issue, and the Janjaweed might come in again and start a whole lot over again. And that means all our actions has gone down the drain, and it doesn't work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Delegate from the United States. Honorable Delegates, I wish to invite the representative for the sponsors, the delegate from France, to now present to us our amended draft resolution. France, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Security Council requests that the mandate of the African Union be extended. 2. Congratulates the engagement and commitment of the African Union for addressing the situation in Darfur. 3. Demands that security around villages and refugee camps be tightened to minimize the amount of deaths in Darfur. 4. Encourages member states who are part of the AU to contribute personnel to the AU peacekeeping force. 5. Mandates the Security Council to use combat military force against the Janjaweed. And 6. Calls on the Secretary General to use his office in gathering information on the development of the current situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Delegate from France. What you just heard was the amended parts, the amended operative paragraph resolution. We'll take a vote on that since that was the only amendment proposed. May I see by hands delegates willing to support this draft? Delegates in favor of this draft resolution, show by placards. Thank you. Delegates against this draft resolution. Abstentions. Thank you very much. Honorable delegates, a veto member of this council has vetoed against this draft. The delegate from Russia has voted against. And therefore this motion fails and the draft doesn't pass. However, I invite Russia to explain his veto against the draft.
Thank you, Mr. President. Russia strongly believes that negotiation is cooling the hearts of the Janjaweed and will fully cool the hearts of the Janjaweed. Sending of force will not do anything. It's just going to aggravate this conflict. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As voted against and vetoed by Russia, this draft resolution fails, and therefore the House will have to go on recess to reorganize our draft, go into more negotiations, and then come back hopefully with a consensus and without any vetoes. I declare this House suspended.
Hey, you, hey.
No, the idea is that he has vetoed.
Thanks for joining us in our resolution drafting process. That was quite an intensive session, don't you think? From now, our hard-working delegates will move towards having fruitful discussions in the hope of adopting one resolution. Join us again next week. Bye.